So, hi everyone. Where is all the antimatter? This is a very commonly asked question in today's physics, and today's physics has very little explanation of why we cannot find any antimatter. So, this is the one which we are going to basically try and answer. Yes, it is right that dynamic general relativity can offer an answer which is pretty satisfactory to this particular conundrum which contemporary physics has given to us, offered us rather to solve. But so what we are supposed to do today is, we are going to discuss things from this particular book, Decoding Gravity, Time and Causality, and I'm going to discuss how dynamic general relativity can offer a solution to the conundrum of matter antimatter asymmetry, or where did all the antimatter go, or rather the question that why we are there, why we formed, or why we exist, why we did not annihilate into each other long back. So these are all the questions which have no answer as yet by any theory, no satisfactory answers at least. And dynamic general relativity, which is the theory of quantum gravity and a potential theory of everything written in this book, can give some explanation. Now, before I start, be aware that I am just giving you what is given in this book. It's not science yet. It has to be reviewed by. It has extreme potential to become science. I'm not saying that it is. It's absolutely logical. So there's nothing but logic which I'm explaining right now. But it's still not accepted science. So most of the physicists will not say that this is science yet. So beware of that. And whatever I'm going to tell you is only and only from this book. So another thing which I want to say is that I've used some random internet images in this to make it a bit more attractive. So there may be some copyrighted images. I'm sorry about that, and I'm not taking any credit for any of these images. So these are all random internet images. Yeah. So what exactly is this matter and antimatter asymmetry problem? We can see that most of the universe, or most of the things which we can see over here in this, at least in this part of the universe, are made up of matter, and we have discovered antimatter. We have some ways of keeping it for a few microseconds or milliseconds or something like that, and experiment on it and make it, and even we have actually positron emission tomography, and also we have used it extensively in multiple places. So we can actually make antimatter. We know that it exists. There's no question about whether it exists or not, but we know that matter exists much more than antimatter. So why exactly is that asymmetry? So why should there be no symmetry? So we'll come to that, but it is presumed that it is better, these matter and antimatter, when they are formed in pairs. So if the total number of matter particles which are formed all throughout the universe is x, then the antimatter particles also should be x. So where did all the other antimatter particles go? So we are going to discuss that today. So the whole thing started with this gentleman who is a gem of a physicist. His name is Paul Dirac, and he is a British physicist, and he is the one who gave us this equation, the Dirac equation. It's the relativistic version of Schrodinger equation. Now, although I can understand a few things about this equation, like this is h bar and this is I and this is I, so it is going to be waxing and waning equation, and this is psi. But apart from that, I just don't have any idea. And this is also, of course, a relativistic version of Schrodinger equation. Schrodinger equation gives kinetic energy and potential energy, and total energy is zero. So whatever. So this is Dirac equation, and when he formulated this equation, he realized that his equation is predicting not only it has two solutions, but it has four solutions. So two solutions for two spins of electrons. But what about the other two solutions? So the total four solutions are there. So what exactly he thought would the equation be telling him? So he hypothesized that probably there are some particles which are exactly opposite to what is called as electron. So it's a particle which has which is exactly opposite in everything, and that is the two other equation, the solutions are basically because of these. So he called them antiparticles, and he gave some hypothesis which is called as the Deroxy hypothesis. So in this you can just see that the electron, this is the atomic orbital, the lowermost limit of the nucleus. So just beyond the nucleus, the electron will be lying in levels which are called as energy levels, because the more the energy of the electron, the more will be the higher will be the level of the electron. So this is positive energy. This electron has a positive energy. This electron has a positive energy. So this particular thing indicates that there are some particles which may have negative energy as well. So this worried Dirac a bit. So he thought, what exactly does this equation tell me? It has to mean something. So he thought that the energy of the particle has to be probably negative. So there must be some particle which is having negative energy. So what he hypothesized is that the whole universe is made up of infinite number of electrons, and then this particular anti-electron or the antiparticle of the electron is basically a hole in the place where there is no electron. Now this was not a very popular opinion, and people mocked him. People thought that this is rubbish, and that nobody believed this. Actually, it seems so rubbish that the whole thing is made up of electrons. So the whole vacuum is made up of infinite number of electrons, and there is one hole in the infinite electron, C, which is called as the positron, or the antimatter of the electron. So this made very little sense at that time, and it was mocked that there cannot be any particle and all that. So this is another way of representing it. These are all random internet images. So here, so this is the atomic the orbital. So this is a zero energy level. So these are the negative energy, infinite number of particles. Okay, and the real particle of the electron has different energy levels. So what was Dirac pointing out is that the Dirac hypothesis is the theoretical model of vacuum as infinite number of particles with negative energy. So infinite number of negative energy particles are there, he says, and the antiparticle is basically a hole in between, whatever that means. But it meant mathematically, it meant a lot of sense. And we know now that mathematically equivalent version of Dirac hypothesis is what is accepted right now, and which is called as the quantum field theory. So quantum field theory is mathematically almost equivalent to whatever was shown by Dirac, but it is slightly different than this. So that we are not going to go into detail of that, but the Dirac hypothesis was a very interesting hypothesis, but nobody took him seriously until 1932-33, when Carl Anderson, um, during the analysis of cosmic rays, he found out positron. So and in subsequent years, 1959 and 1955 and all that, antiproton was discovered, and anti-neutron was discovered. So what exactly are these antiparticles? So these antiparticles, now initially we saw that the antiparticle is actually the particle which is exactly opposite in many ways to the electron, and it has basically so it is basically, it has negative energy. So that's what was written over there. But here, this is another definition of the antimatter particle, which is basically that the antimatter particle of a particular particle must have the same mass and spin, but it has opposite charge and magnetic properties. So they're literally mirror images of the matter. So this is another very common and very accepted definition. So we are not aware, we are not understanding rather I am not understanding what is the right definition of the antimatter. This definition says that it should have positive mass, and spin also equivalent, but negative charge. So only charge it should differ, spin should be same, and mass should be same, which means that it has to have some positive energy. Now we know that proton and antiproton, electron and positron, so anti-hydrogen and hydrogen, all of them have been discovered. So there's no question that proton, this antiparticle versions of all these are present, and we know them to exist, and they have been discovered. So there is no question about it. So what exactly is the thing? Problem here is, so if there is an antiparticle and there's a particle and antiparticle pair, and they annihilate, then they form gamma radiation or photon or energy. Basically, they annihilate and they give rise to energy. And the reverse is also true. That is, energy, multiple energy condensed can give rise to particle antiparticle pairs. So what exactly is the problem here? The same thing happened in the very early universe, and there was a lot of energy at that time. The whole universe was concentrated at a very small point, and so the entire energy of the universe was also concentrated at a small point. So what happened at that time was a lot of matter particles and antimatter particles were formed, and they annihilated each other. So we are seeing a lot of matter particles. So what happened? Where did all the antimatter go? It meant that 10 billion matter particles to 10 billion antimatter particles. That much was the asymmetry, which led to the present universe, which is having a lot of matter particles and very little antimatter particles. So this asymmetry of matter to antimatter, it is postulated that there was a very slight asymmetry between matter and antimatter particles. So how do you explain that? Or where exactly is the what exactly happened? Why exactly is this symmetry broken, or why is this asymmetry between matter and antimatter particles is the question which nobody can answer. So today what is happening is, what we can find is that a huge amount of matter is seen. So all the galaxies and all the galaxy clusters and everything, including the black holes, are made up of matter particles, and antimatter is very rare. There's very little antimatter. You have to whenever it forms, it just annihilates, and it is very unstable. And why does it happen like that? So matter and antimatter, if they are like with this, we know that when they are formed, they form in pairs. They cannot form individually. So matter particle and antimatter particle both have to form in pairs. So if this has to annihilate, it has to annihilate with another electron. So it will again annihilate in pairs. So it cannot annihilate by itself. It has to annihilate in pair. So if it forms in pairs and if it annihilates also in pairs, then the total number of matter particles and antimatter particles in the universe should be same. But that's not what we observe. So we observe that matter particles are extremely high, antimatter particles are very little. So what exactly explains this asymmetry? So these are the conundrums actually. Why did the universe? Yeah. So this is another conundrum that if the matter and antimatter particles formed in exactly the same amount in the early universe, the matter and antimatter particles should annihilate each other, and the universe should not form at all. Then why did the universe form? That is the first conundrum. The second conundrum is what? That now that we have formed, where is all the antimatter? So if the antimatter is not here, then where is it? So why we can't see it? So can we see it or we cannot see it? Or is it all around us, or is it somewhere else? So Dirac had predicted that there would be antimatter atoms and antimatter molecules, and there would be antimatter matter earths, and there would be antimatter galaxies and stars. So he had predicted that if there is antimatter, then there has to be antimatter everything. So if there is antimatter earth and antimatter galaxies, is there beyond our observable universe? So it is possible that they speculated that this whatever we can see as an observable universe is a small bubble where only matter is predominant, but the other part of the universe not we are not able to observe that. There might be antimatter predominance rather than matter predominance. So that was one of the ways by which they explained it, but nobody has a proper answer to this question, that where is the antimatter gone? Why can't we see the antimatter? And why did the universe not annihilate properly? So there are other unanswered questions actually, which I want to ask actually. So what is a positron? Is it a electron counterpart with negative energy? So is the positron having negative energy or it has a positive energy? The positron has a mass. So if it has a mass, then it has a positive energy. As per E is equal to mc square, there is some energy within the core of the positron. So it is almost equivalent to how much energy is there in the core of the electron. So if it has positive energy, then why would someone say that it has negative energy then? And what exactly does it even mean that it has negative energy? If he was saying in the Diraxy hypothesis and also in the this thing that the electron has positive energy lying in the electron levels, and the antiparticle would have negative energy. So it should have negative energy. So this positron has a positive energy. So what exactly is true? Is positron having negative energy, or it has positive energy, or both, or what? We don't know. So does positron have negative energy or positive energy, or both? So we don't have this. We don't know the answer to this question. Okay. So we have to just compare dynamic general relativity with Diraxy. So before we go ahead, I want to say that you won't be able to understand this until you have seen the videos where I explained how DGR predicts what is an electron and what is the spin of the electron. So if you know what the spin of the electron is and how DGR predicts how the electron looks, then it's easier for you. And you should also see the introductory video for DGR. So dynamic general relativity, what it is, what are the assumptions, why, all these things, what is time, what is local time, what is all this I'm not going to explain in this particular video. So you have to look into the previous videos, especially the introductory video, and also the video where I explained about how the electron is and as predicted by DGR. So Diraxy hypothesis says that there is an infinite sea of negative energy particles, and DGR also says that there is infinite sea of manifest Planck compartments. So DGR says what? That the whole universe is made up of small Planck length, Planck volume size compartments called as Planck compartments. So these are manifest compartments. So they are not, they are basically, they are there, and creation of which is represents negative energy. So it's very similar actually. So Diraxy says that there is infinite amount of negative energy particles all around, and that's what DGR also is saying. The antiparticles are the holes in this infinite sea. DGR is saying very similar but very slightly different actually. DGR is saying what? Particles are with positive energy. That is, particles are the ones which are having a destruction within them. They are the holes, and the antiparticles are with negative energy. That is, there is infinite sea of antiparticles, and there are holes called as particles. So this is what is a very rough comparison between Diraxy and DGR, which are both talking very. They are talking suddenly that the Diraxy hypothesis doesn't seem that unusual, because DGR is saying the same thing, that the whole universe is made up of manifest Planck compartments, and the fact that they are manifest, that means they are created, means that they represent negative energy, and positive energy is what? Destruction. So it keeps destroying, getting destroyed. Planck compartment getting destroyed. Wherever there is a destruction of the Planck compartment, there is a hole. So there is a hole, and there is a infinite amount of C. So that way, DGR and Diraxy hypothesis look very similar actually, comparable. So the question still remains: where exactly is this antimatter gone? So we don't know where exactly it is yet. So is proton really an antiparticle? It has mass, it has positive energy, it doesn't have a negative energy. So does it have a, is it the antiparticle? So DGR says otherwise actually. Is it true that we find the antiparticle in the place we least expect? So we don't know where this antiparticle is. So DGR, what does it predict? It predicts that this is true basically. We will find it where we least expect it. That is what is called as a matter-antimatter model. In this, what the missing antimatter is actually around the fermions as lattice, giving them properties like charge, Pauli's exclusion principle, spin, wave, particle, rate, etc. So actually, so the electron is not a elementary particle, but it's a composite particle, and it is made up of a positive energy core and a negative energy lattice. So this antiparticles, what Dirac thought of as negative energy particles, are actually present here itself, all around within the electron. The electron is not actually a particle, but it's a composite particle which is made up of matter core and antimatter lattice. Matter core and antimatter lattice. This is a more proper terminology as far as I feel. As far as DGR is concerned, but what if you want to continue with the present terminology of antiparticle being positron and particle being electron, then you can it's better to stick to PEP, or positive energy particle, and a exotic negative energy antiparticle, or ENEA particle and PEP. So here the positive energy particles are here, all aggregated together to form a core where extreme amount of destruction is happening of Planck compartments. So per Planck time, extreme amount of Planck compartments are being destroyed, and they are creating a negative, positive energy wave all around. So the Planck compartments form what is called as eddy Planck compartment aggregates, or EPCs, and they move inwards, and they tend to basically get entangled and they move inwards and they keep losing their volume and they keep moving inwards. So this whole space is going to get curved and it's going to keep moving inwards. The space is going to keep getting destroyed and active spatial contraction will happen there. There is a time dilation over here, extreme time dilation here, and there is time dilation gradient here. So there will be reducing time dilation from here to here as we go here. Here, these are all the antiparticles which we are looking for. So here there are all particles, and here there are all antiparticles. So the electron is actually a composite version, composite particle, and not a real particle. And that these are these negative energy, these are positive energy waves. So here there is negative energy, so there is excessive amount of creation of Planck compartments here. So here in one Planck time, one Planck compartment is being created. So in 1 second, 10 to the power 43 Planck compartments are being created, but they cannot entangle the surrounding things. They cannot get compensation over here. So they have to throw whatever they are forming here. So here in the zone B, there will be an excessive amount of negative energy. Here in zone A, there will be excessive amount of negative energy. Here will be destruction. So there will be active spatial contraction to compensate for the destruction over here. Here there will be active spatial expansion, and here there will be zero energy, no expansion or contraction. So like that, here there will be time dilation, and here there will be time contraction. So we can understand that this lattice is not going to stay stable, and it is going to keep rotating extremely fast because of the negative energy, which is causing excessive amount of creation. So this is where the antimatter lattice, the antimatter exists. So what are the implications of this theory? So the electron is not an elementary particle, but is a composite particle, and positron is not electrons antiparticle. So the antiparticles, the positron is electron itself is a composite particle. So positron is actually not a negative energy particle; it's a positive energy composite particle again, but it has a slightly different energy structure than electron. So what DJR is predicting is that the negative energy positive energy balance in electron is different than negative energy positive energy balance in positron. So exactly what is happening here? Electron mass is the mass or the total amount of negative energy, the positive energy is almost the same in electron and the positron. So the number of positive energy particles, that is the amount of destruction which is happening in the core, is almost the same in electron and positron, but the amount of ENA particles differ. So ENA particles is not the same. So if ENA particles is equal to PEP particles, which is positive energy particle, then it will form a neutral particle. So if ENAs are more, then it will form electron. If ENAs are less, than the positive energy particles, then it forms a positron. So something like that, there will be a positive energy, negative energy imbalance in that composite particle. That's what DJR predicts. Okay. So the real particles are positive energy particles and forming the core, and real antiparticles are the ENAs, which form lattice of mutually repulsive particles. So the PEPs or positive energy particles are having positive energy, and ENAs are or exotic negative energy antiparticles. These are ENAs are what? So the small negative energy so they are the real antiparticles as per DJR. But if you want to continue with the current nomenclature, then you can just stick to PEPs and ENAs, and then the typical definition, if you want to hold the typical definitions of antimatter like electron and positron, then they are basically the same mass. So they are not negative energy particles, like positron and electron. So a positron doesn't have negative energy, but it has both negative energy and positive energy combined together. Okay. So what are other implications? Annihilation of the two particles just releases the positive energy trapped in the core and sets free the negative energy in the form of free ENA particles. So So we know that two gamma rays come together and form a pair production, that is positive energy, and that is positron and electron. And the same thing happens when they annihilate each other. So if positron and electron come together, they will keep falling into each other and they will annihilate each other. So what they used to say is what they will form two gamma energy photons. But what we are saying is that there are already two energy cores, CORES cores, in the positron as well as in the electron, and there is a negative energy lattice around them. So when they fall into each other, the two energy cores just they are released as gamma photons, and the ENA particles are released as free ENA particles, which are very small and which cannot be detected. So you can't detect them. So that's what happens when the two annihilate each other. So real antiparticles predicted by Dirac's equation possessing negative energy cannot annihilate with positive energy particles. So negative energy and positive energy particles are actually like what was suggested by Bondi, which is negative mass and positive mass. So negative mass particles and positive mass particles, they form pairs and they go into perpetual motion rather than getting annihilated to each other. So the real antiparticle and the real particles don't annihilate with each other. So this makes a lot of sense that if they don't annihilate with each other and they can form pairs and they can pair with each other and they can stabilize each other. So one person is increasing, producing a lot of creation. The other person is producing a lot of destruction. So creation and destruction are getting balanced. So they can balance each other. So they can reduce, basically stabilize each other. So if this can happen, that's what we are observing, that there are stable things everywhere. The electron is getting stabilized by the proton, and the unstable part of the electron gets stabilized by another proton. So they pair like that. So as to reduce their total amount of energy. So is this explanation satisfactory? So obvious answer is no. We don't know yet. A lot of questions are still remaining. So we don't know. Still, there are some questions which are remaining, like what is the positive energy, negative energy balance of the universe? More creation than destruction. So we know that the universe is expanding, and we know that there is there is slightly more amount of creation than destruction. So the universe keeps expanding, and we know that this can happen only if there is more creation than destruction. So there is more negative energy than positive energy. So there is a slight imbalance still of negative energy than positive energy. We don't know why. Now here again, DGR is saying that negative energy is creation, positive energy is destruction. So these are all DGR terms. Contemporary physics says nothing about positive energy, what it is, negative energy, what it is, and all that. So here again, another thing is what we are not sure for sure yet what exactly is positive charge, negative charge, and neutral. But we are just giving some assumptions here that a particle with slightly excess of ENES will be negative. A particle with slightly less amount of ENES, that is excess of positive energy or PEPs. The more PEPs than ENES is basically positive energy particle, a positively charged particle, right? So a particle in which there is absolute balance. So the number of PEPs or positive energy particles is same as the number of exotic negative energy particles. So positive energy, negative energy is balanced in that composite particle. That composite particle is a neutral particle, because whatever creation tendency and over destruction tendency are both completely balanced with each other. So they will not need any other person to balance each other. Okay. So these are some of the questions which are still not completely answered. If you want, if you have some doubts or if you want more info, I think you should read the book, because we cannot explain everything in these videos. You can share this video and you can subscribe and you can see all the other videos, especially the electron, how exactly is the electron, and also the details of the matter antimatter model, and also details of how gravity and how bond. I'm going to start. I'm going to make one more video for what exactly is time, what is local time, what is universal time, and I'm going to make one more video about special relativity. So I think that you should subscribe and share, and write an email if you have any doubts, and buy the book, which is available on amazon.com, amazon.uk, basically all over the world. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a nice day.